Encouraged my stepson to embrace my culture and join us on a trip. Now his mother accuses me of turning him against her. I have been with my 32F husband, 39, for about 7 years. He has a son from a former relationship, 9, and we didn't even know he even existed until about 5 years ago when his ex, 40, contacted him demanding child support. She admits the only reason she even let him know about the kid was because she found out we were engaged and she wanted to rain on his parade. After a lot of back and forward and legal shenanigans, we got sort of 50-50. First was therapy, visitation, etc., but we are now at 50-50. Anyway, I come from Latin America and my stepson is really fascinated by many of the cultural things and the language. He has met my parents on their last visit, and he is really a lovely, bright and curious kid. He started catching up with some of the words and now we speak Spanish on a daily basis when he is with us. His mom didn't have an issue until he started to ask if he can come to my country next time we visit. We told him we gotta discuss it amongst the adults, but he is very interested. We got no issue. My family has said that he is more than welcome. I come from blended fam, and we would of course cover all the costs. She really dislikes the idea, but not because of the travel or anything else, but because she believes I are using money to turn him against her. There are many issues between them already because he thinks she is a liar for not telling him about his dad, and yeah, it's hard sometimes. But we talk a lot, son and I, about having blending families and understanding parents. Anyway, she told me I had to stop encouraging/sharing the language and the culture in my house when he is with us and speak the home country language or English. I said no. I have been very passive through the whole thing, since the beginning, but I am exhausted of her demands. I understand she is his mom, but I see no harm on the kid speaking Spanish like a native plus the other two he does, and I see no issue with him traveling abroad and having more cultural connections. Hell, I even offered to pay for her to come along with her husband. She says I am a very big snobbish asshole and she is gonna see how to keep the kid away from me. Not possible. Her husband says I should be more understanding and not step on her toes when the kid already is not her biggest fan. My husband says he just wants the best for the kid and sees no wrong with him learning and traveling. I would like an outside impartial perspective about it. Update 1. My stepson is now staying most of the time with us. We had no battle or issue, it is just what we decided after a pre-oper heart-to-heart conversation between moms. When the time comes where there is a possibility to go to my country we will discuss it again, but at the moment it is a yes. The heart-to-heart was a very emotional complex talk, but I felt it had to happen. She is after all part of my life forever and I want her to know she is the mommy no matter what. I saw a completely different side of her and I know it is not a magic wand, but I have noticed the changes. I am pregnant. I know I should not say so early. I was already when I made my first post but didn't even know. But we are all so positive, and almost on the clear line. Even my son's mom. Everybody has taken it as a celebration, and the only time we had issue was when we talked bedrooms at our flat because my son thought he had to give his super nice one for my true baby section as he called it. But we assured him his bedroom is forever his unless we move. My parents will be arriving in the next months and asked if they can bring extra gifts to my son so it is an easier transition, and his mom said yes. It seems somehow me having a baby has made her realize we are so linked, or I dunno, maybe it was my husband saying he would not allow more disrespect lol. My parents also asked if it was okay to bring gifts for her kid and she said yes as well. My mom is the happiest person now because she is in full shopping mode lol. She has been very civil and even nice, and in response she has gained a better relationship with our son. I am convinced he is smart enough to orchestrate all of it, but I have mommy/baby brain. We have agreed to raise them all as together as possible. Her kids, our kids, our kid. I said I can contribute to the education fund for all kids if she allows me. She said yes on the condition they all go to the same school. I want my kids in Spanish Kita. She wants hers in normal Kita. I thought we would have World War II again, but her husband told her my kids will speak Spanish no matter what she wants and it is a useful language, so all kids in our tribe should speak Spanish, and she agreed. I almost fainted. Now we decided to divide care after daycare and Kitas pre-kindergarten/kindergarten, and I will speak to the kids in Spanish so they are naturals. My son is the happiest because now he feels all his families are in sync and he can just chill, and it makes me extremely happy. In addition, she said my son can come with us if he wants, but we need to let her know at least a year in advance, and she is doing the same with us, which I find reasonable. Update 2. I know no one might see this, but I got a couple of messages people found it heartwarming, some not exactly, so we have little announcements and clarifications. She, son's mom, has always been in therapy. It was determined when this all started back in the day. She was never outright cruel or super mean. It was just that she was not nice to me or my relationship until now that she tries. She gets a say as much as I get a say in education. I know is weird, but I was raised in some sort of communal weird experience and we all excel in our areas. I would never do anything to put distance between my son and his siblings. I am trying to instate that they are his siblings, and for the one he already has it's the way. If he doesn't like it I will drop it, but he seems very receptive to the mixed family. She has issues that have come from other places, childhood, family, so on, and she is truly trying to be better and not be the person that did things to just ruin an engagement. My son stays mainly with us lately because he wants, and that has made his relationship with his mother better. My son is even written in my parents' will. That is how much I love him, so yes. He is my son too. My parents are here and will be staying for a while. my in-laws are very careful on their excitement and my parents, with permission, got my son on a little adventure and assured him they love him very very much and their love is infinite. He feels better now because he said he felt maybe they won't love him anymore because of my real baby. He is in therapy, always has, but now we have addressed it. He made it clear he wants me to still love him like I do and I have assured him I will, I do, I always will. He is going to a solo trip with his dad and another solo trip with both dads. My husband and her husband have always got a good relationship and I think it never got better cause of the stuff. My son is involved in the naming of the baby, it is between us three only. My husband wants us to move so we have bigger bedrooms for everybody but I don't feel like it because pregnancy and adaptation. I want my son to be able to adapt before we start moving. My husband believes I'm just cuddling him way too much but I planed my perspective being from a blended fam as a kid and he backed off. When we look for a place we will be looking for one that we all like. I am an insomniac and has not changed at all. So here we are Haya, only I drink no more wine anymore lol. My son's mom is actually giving me really good tips. We are working in our own wills and so on, because I am developing a fear about the children's future yay? And lastly, my husband is the most patient, caring, loving, goofy man. I know I got little critics saying he should have put it off when the bad stuff happened but he is very neutral and asked me all the time if I was okay. He always said if I said no he would have changed his tune. We are so far from perfect still, we just had a discussion about the type of school my son should go next, a thing in the country, but I am glad it is now a discussion and not an argument. Also, baby is doing amazing. P.S. I love bullet points update 3, for us is a sort of dream at the moment. We got a new house. It was picked by the three of us, HB, son, me, and it is lovely and beautiful and all we want for our kids. I always said I wanted to have just 2 kids so after this one is born we will be closed for business. My husband will get a vasectomy so I don't need to deal with hormones or birth control. I would also like to comment the new house is huge and it has a guest room so my son's brother can stay whenever he wants, they have done so before. Also, my kid turned 10. We are at a weird time but we did a little family gathering with all 6 his grandparents and all 4 his parents. He was very happy and enjoyed it with the friends he invited to it. We all coordinated presents so we didn't outstage each other or gave him repeated gifts. I was so happy we could finally do something like this. As per my baby, she is a girl. I told my son and thought it might create issues but he is so excited about it. We have been having family therapy too just in case but the therapist says the kid is doing amazing and to please don't overthink things. We had a gender reveal party, which I find kinda silly but my son wanted to cause they are very internet famous. It was just family and a couple of friends. When they realized it was a girl they all paused for a second and my son was so excited then they got all excited. I am very happy with my family. His trips with his dad and dad's went great so we took him on a mommy's trip. We took a lot of precautions of course but we had a blast, as much of a blast as you can have with a pregnant woman in Europe, if you know you know. He deserves it because he is the best kid ever. As for my parents, they are really happy to do things for the kid and love being around him. He or anybody other than me, don't know about the will or anything, he just loves them because he is nice. My parents are considering staying permanently because they want to be close so it might be another thing coming. My in-laws are helping them find a permanent rental or so and we are just all so excited. As per mom, she has been more understanding and nice. I understand she was bitter but she truly wants the best for our son and that is our biggest common ground. And yes, she has taken up Spanish via an app. She said she wanted the kids to see us equally, which I've always found ridiculous since she is a nurse and clearly very qualified. We have had many convos about my parents' involvement but she is more willing to give space lately. She and her family, which have always been delightful, are now all learning the language as a way to keep it all connected. We have movie night at least twice a week, sometimes is more people than other times. I just want to let people know that it can be better and people are complicated and people can love. Unconditional. Update 4. I just realized I haven't properly sat down to type out an update in a while, and so much has changed over the past months, honestly it's a bit surreal in retrospect. Since my last update, our ongoing adventure in hyper-blended familyhood has gotten, well, even more interesting. There are some days I look around our living room and fully expect someone from a government agency to come knocking, confused about why there are 3 languages being shouted in heated Mario Kart races, 6 shoes by the door that are all the same size, and a baby swing that seems to be lulling everyone but the actual baby to sleep. First, let's talk about the new, shiny thing. Our daughter arrived. I'm only a tiny, giant, bit hormonal but honestly, she's a little miracle. Baby B, family decided on naming her Belen after my grandmother, which is somehow pronounced entirely differently by every branch of the family tree, is the most doted upon person in the house, which seems to have only deepened and smoothed the connections everyone has. My stepson, in particular, is both obsessed with his sister. She's my real sister, right? Like, for life? And suddenly showing a whole new level of maturity. He's signed himself up as the assistant diaper fetcher, and he coos in Spanish and sometimes Spanglish, which nearly kills my mother with pride every time. My husband, in the midst of rocking a newborn to sleep and taking our 10-yo hiking on weekends to teach him the mysteries of the woods, had his vasectomy. The whole event became a weird but hilarious family theme for a day or two. My mother made a lot of faces. The teenage cousins wrote him a "you survived" card, and my stepson asked if dad had to ice his huevos because he heard it on Spanish TikTok. I told him not every Spanish word is meant to be used everywhere. My husband recovered and is now deeply invested in birdwatching and finding bilingual nature podcasts for the car. Grandparents wise, we are now an accidental commune. My parents did find a permanent place, with a little nudge from the in-laws, and have officially declared themselves local residents. The in-laws were charmed by the idea and invited them for a full joint tapas night, which turned into a Spanish-German karaoke disaster evening. Let's just say the children were the only ones with anything resembling taste. Both sets of grandparents are now in a low-key competition on who can teach the most skills to my stepson and the soon-to-be tribe of little ones. Abuelo school is on Mondays and Oma Club on Fridays. The result? Our son is now very proud of his soap carving skills, and can passive-aggressively correct your Spanish and German prepositions. But the real seismic shift has been with my stepson's mom and her husband. Since trying out actual joint custody life, we are all now in a surprisingly sustainable rhythm. She comes over for coffee sometimes, to see the baby she says, but honestly sometimes she just sits and listens to my mother's stories while the baby naps. We took a wild leap and together organized a family unity picnic. Our son named it, he likes deliberate themes now, in the park with all siblings and step-siblings, both sets of parents, and all the grandparents. I can honestly say it was the strangest and most heart-swelling afternoon of my adult life. And this one's wild. Her husband joined us for a few Spanish classes. We're going to have a whole tribe of bilinguals and I refuse to be the weakest link, he told me over a beer. He turned out to be weirdly great at accents and the kids now tease both dads for messing up the Spanish RRRRs. We let the kids plan cultural days. Sometimes it's empanadas and a Spanish Disney movie, sometimes it's a German baking day, sometimes it's a dual family Nerf battle with the winner getting to pick next week's dinner. Everyone's in on gift shopping for holidays. I'm still in awe at the truce we established post-Christmas, coordinating presents on a spreadsheet. Nobody's toes were stepped on, and my mother-in-law only muttered capitalist madness once. And travel news, next spring, it's really happening. The travel to my country has been confirmed. We all agreed on a year's notice, paperwork is being calmly assembled, and, brace for it, everyone is coming. All parents, siblings, even the in-laws. We rented a big house on a lake, with a vague dream/plan of exploring family roots, slathering on sunscreen, and maybe getting the families together for one embarrassing night of karaoke under the stars. There are WhatsApp groups, spreadsheets, and all parties have emergency chocolate funds for our inevitable travel mishaps. My stepson now proudly tells teachers and friends he has too many parents to count and a brand new sister who rules us all. He still has his therapy check-ins, now mostly used to process little things like fitting into new friend circles and how to not get annoyed when his baby sister gets every adult's attention at every family gathering. Either way, her colic is, thankfully, gone and she is now as sunny as the weather, despite my sleep-deprived state. There have been a handful of real arguments about which school musical instrument is best, and how many birthday parties in a month is enough. Sometimes my husband and stepson's mom still bristle at old wounds. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by the logistics or, honestly, the messiness of this tribe we're building. But in the loud, busy evenings, with 3 kinds of music playing and the aroma of a dozen cultures mixing in the kitchen, something in me settles contentedly. If you'd told me 6 years ago that the woman who once wanted to rain on our parade would be picking out baby socks in my living room, or that my stepson would be planning a family unity Taco Tuesday, I'd have laughed. Now, I don't know if I could survive with any less chaos or love. Update 5. Okay, deepest breaths. If you'd have told me last year where we'd be by mid-spring, I'd have said not even in a sitcom. We've officially tipped from a blended family into outright logistical performance art, and we love it, somehow. Strap in, because the last 8 weeks have been, let's call it educational. First, the travel plan to my country is turning into the family odyssey of the decade. The group chat is pure chaos, in 3 languages, and the spreadsheet tracking who's got which document would give a project manager heart palpitations. My stepson, who's now, as he will remind you, 10 3/4, found a YouTube travel vlogger from my hometown and decided he'll be our cultural ambassador. That is to say, he's giving us 5-minute orientation presentations at dinner, everything from how not to look like a total tourist to why you shouldn't eat the pink fruit, before asking. He's making my dad both proud and slightly terrified. Both grandpas are locked in a friendly arms race of family heritage deep dives, trotting out ancient photos, impossible maps, and conflicting tales about why our last name doesn't match the town sign. The 2 grandmas are plotting dual-themed picnics, one Spanish, one German, where, allegedly, no one is allowed to sit with their birth parent. The step-siblings are learning to gang up on everyone else. Witness the 3 of them covertly scrawling Super Siblings t-shirts with fabric markers, then wearing them over their bathing suits and refusing to answer to their real names for a weekend. But the wildest development, my stepson's mom, not only is her Spanish getting sharper, but she and I started a ridiculous WhatsApp vent chain about blended family misadventures. She sent me a meme of 2 penguins squabbling over a fish, labeled every time we both try to sign the same school permission slip. We agreed we could start our own advice column for second wives and exes surviving international family trips. Tentative title, Don't drink the duty-free before security. As for baby Belen, she started doing this chortling squeal whenever the house is loud. So, about 90% of the time, my stepson took it upon himself to teach her Spanish animal sounds, and now she shrieks moo at cows, dogs, the TV, and, memorably, at his science teacher during a video call. Milestone, I think. Last week, it rained for 4 days straight. All children, ours and the step-sibling, decided our house has the best echo for indoor soccer. 3 goals, 2 lectures on house rules, 1 apologetic call to the neighbors, and at least a dozen simultaneous sandwiches later, I realized, every child in my living room switches between languages without missing a beat. There's a steady banter of mom, mama, moody, can I? It's fluency, but it's also comfort. Even the adults have started peppering English sentences with pero escúchame and genau, not always on purpose. On the co-parenting front, we hit our first real international argument, school camp. The school offered a bilingual camping experience, and my stepson wanted both moms to chaperone, and both dads to do the hiking. It took 3 weeks, 12 emails, and an in-person meeting with the headmaster to convince everyone we were not, in fact, a traveling cult, just a very committed family. Now, apparently, they want us to talk about blended family cooperation at next term's orientation. My husband threatened to show up with a slideshow called How Not to Panic When 4 Grandparents Volunteer for Bake Sale Week. We've shifted to family guideline meetings every other month, snacks, opinions, and lots of bribes for good behavior. My stepson wrote down less drama, more pizza. His mom is now openly offering to trade laundry day for Spanish homework night. Her husband brought over a paella he learned to make and told us he's planning to run the marathon in my hometown next year. I didn't realize how much time we'd spend asking, wait, whose turn for bedtime stories? While debating whether to read in English, Spanish, or just act them out. Every so often, the old wounds resurface, a sharp word, some old defensiveness, especially when one of the kids runs to one of us instead of the default parent for something important. My stepson's mom and I have sometimes retreated to the quiet kitchen, hashing things out with late-night cake or just annoyed laughter at what a tangled, loving mess we've built. But here's the difference. Now, we don't walk away. The tether holds. Final twist, my in-laws, as of this week, have gotten engaged in an all-family genealogy project, so we're now balancing research into 3 sets of roots, arguments about ancestral recipes, and 1 ongoing investigation into why does that wedding photo look like our middle child? My mother is scandalized, my stepson is plotting a cultural celebration for next month, people should wear hats from their country, and frankly, I'm just trying to figure out how to get Peruvian chicha morada out of baby clothes. We're not perfect. Sometimes at 3-ring circus levels of bonkers. But the little moments, my stepson pushing the stroller next to his siblings, his other mom practicing her RRRRs while helping with math homework, and the grown-ups splitting chores over cold coffee while the little ones tear across the yard? That's the real story now. Update 6. There is no quiet in our house anymore, and I'm not being poetic. Last night I found myself humming a medley of reggaeton, polka, and German lullabies without realizing it, and I'm pretty sure my brain has stopped registering the difference between outside voices and inside voices. We're running at a level of chaos that makes my calendar app want to unionize, and yet, we keep somehow leveling up the absurdity and, oddly, the connection. So much has happened this spring that writing it all down actually makes me a little dizzy. Let's talk about the travel saga first. Passports are now filed under critical family documents, locked in a fireproof box, with a backup list on a Google Doc, a printout in my mother's purse, and, I suspect, a photo hidden in my father-in-law's sock drawer just in case. There was a near mutiny over which family photo to use for the travel visas. My stepson was adamant that baby Belen's moo face should be immortalized. My mother countered that international authorities do not want to see a baby impersonate a cow. In the end, we went with the classic bookshelf chaos shot, half the family waving, 2 cousins upside down, and the baby gumming a copy of Don Quixote. I expect border agents will be either delighted or deeply confused. The WhatsApp chat, 3 languages strong, hit a fever pitch after my stepson imposed a strict no boring food rule for our trip. The menu planning thread is now up to 404 comments, 2 minor flame wars, paella versus empanadas versus bratwurst, and an arrangement for a cultural fusion cook-off at our lakeside rental. My son's stepbrother, apparently inspired by YouTube, tried to hype this as a reality TV event. He's made little ribbon medals with Best Fusion Disaster written on them in Spanglish. Blended school life is, at this point, something we could franchise. My stepson was selected to give a little speech during Diversity Weekend. After some secret family coaching, he stunned everyone by walking up, switching seamlessly between English, Spanish, and German, then delivering a punchline about having so many parents I get double presents, except on exam day. The teachers asked me afterward if we'd be willing to run a family culture workshop. My stepson's mom and I both snorted our coffee and said, as long as no one expects us to sing. My father-in-law has volunteered, naturally, but honestly, the truly wild thing? We've become a unit, and not just cohabitating. It's like we're a team in a dysfunctional relay race, frantically handing over batons, lunchboxes, and bedtime stories, but everyone's running alongside now. The family meetings are still a thing, now complete with swear jars in 3 languages, mostly filled by the adults, if we're honest. The kids write up the family agenda: less screen time, more homemade pizza, also Nerf wars should be every Sunday, and the step-siblings have gotten so comfortable that last week they tried to unionize so as to negotiate later bedtimes if we help with the baby. They demanded fruit snacks in exchange for Spanish study hours and each constructed a PowerPoint presentation. My stepson's was bilingual and included historical references to the invention of bedtime, which is apparently my fault. And oh, the new traditions. Cultural Hat Wednesdays, which started as a joke, is now a real thing. Everyone wears something from their country/heritage to dinner, and we argue good-naturedly about whether a sombrero or a Bayern cap is the ultimate sign of fashion disaster. Last Wednesday, Belen somehow wore 2 hats all through dinner, with her brother sneaking extra tortilla chips into her bib while both grandmas clapped like she'd won a Nobel Prize. Even my stepson's mom's husband, previously the quiet one, now hosts trivia rounds, declaring the living room a multilingual zone where the winner gets to pick the bedtime story's language. Twice my husband has lost and had to read a Spanish tongue twister picture book while the kids cackled at him. We've started a heritage photo wall. Everyone contributed a couple of old family images, and the wall now includes everything from sepia-toned great-grandparents in stern suits to a 1990s photo of my cousin's disastrous quinceañera. Baby Belen is in the center, taped up by my stepson with a sticky note that says epicenter of chaos. Of course, not everything is ideal. Sometimes the tension boils up. Recently, we hit a pitfall over how to navigate summer vacation custody. Suddenly, everyone wanted first week and, for a full afternoon, there were rather frosty silences. I guess you always get to do the fun stuff, don't you? But over grilled cheese, the baby lobbed her sippy cup at my stepson's head, and somehow the goofy chaos melted the edges. We decided to split by activities, and now the trip itinerary reads like UN negotiations: kayaking with Los Abuelos, then baking with Oma, then extreme Lego build with both dads, then pool day with both moms. Therapy, for the kids and for the grown-ups, still anchors us. Some sessions are lunar calm, others are why does everyone have to label every closet shelf? Level of honest. And yes, the family adventure is really happening. Flights booked, rental house confirmed. My mother has pre-purchased enough sunscreen for a small army and has begun her campaign to rebrand my stepkids as honorary cousins in our hometown. There is a formal agreement: no politics at dinner, all embarrassing childhood stories must be translated twice, and karaoke night is mandatory for adults, with children judging. But what really struck me recently, my husband caught my stepson, bleary-eyed, rocking the baby before school, telling her stories about when we're all in Abuela's country, you'll see the sun come up over the ocean and we'll dance with all the family. And I realized, somewhere, in all this precocious multilingual madness, our kid found not just comfort but pride in our weird patchwork. We still have fights, late-night negotiations over math homework and whose turn is it to vacuum after the salsa explosion. I get swallowed by a kind of exhausted joy, watching my stepson's mom cook empanadas while fielding a Spanish phone call from the piano teacher, my parents and in-laws debating the best international board game in the corner, and the sound of both babies, her toddler, my daughter, shrieking with glee as someone pulls them around the living room on a blanket. We're loud, we're complicated, we're embarrassing in public. But if you'd ever told me 5 years ago that the kid who worried he wasn't my real family would be teaching his sister translations of dinosaur names, or that his mother would be my best WhatsApp meme partner, or that 4 grandparents, speaking 3 languages, would be debating paella recipes in my kitchen, I'd have said you'd lost the plot. Now, well, as my stepson declared last week, arms outstretched in the wreckage of a post-dinner living room, we're not like other families. We're better at being us.